Welcome to another season of Conversations with Gentle Warriors. This is season 5. My name is Bhavana Issar, and I'm the founder and CEO of Caregiver Saathi. In this season, we continue to shine the light on what we now call the invisible backbone of our society family caregivers. Often, our strength as caregivers goes unseen, yet, it forms the foundation of the well being for our loved ones and even communities. Through these conversations, we explore stories of courage, resilience, and quiet compassion. We'll hear about the challenges caregivers face, the systemic gaps that need attention, and the extraordinary ways in which caregiving shapes not just families, but workplaces and society. Gentle Warriors is not just about telling stories, it is about recognizing caregiving as an act of profound strength and about sparking reflection, dialogue, and change. Care is at the very core of our being. Join us as we celebrate these unseen, unheard, invisible heroes and uncover what it truly means to be a gentle warrior.
right?
I'm going to
Which
ask
she
you to
has.
take a pause,
Huh,
Sudha,
sorry.
because for the listener, greetings of the day and welcome to another conversation with special people in this world, people who we fondly call gentle warriors. Um, Gentle because uh, it is an act and a life of kindness and grace and care, sometimes driven by circumstances. But it's not really a war, and the person is not really a warrior, um, and in many ways a healer and a and a carer. And I'm delighted today to have an exploration, a conversation with Kanika Singhal, and talk about what her journey has been all about and what can we see ourselves in her journey and what would she have to share. Welcome, Kanika.
Thank you so much. Great to be here, and I am so delighted that you've actually put together a platform
Mm,
uh, for the stories to come out. Mostly a set of people that's ignored, that is
mm.
put on pedestal to be noble, but uh, there is a journey out there, the story which is untold a lot of times. So
True.
thank you. Thank you for having me a part of it, and thank you for creating this platform to be able to share.
Yeah, for sure. I relate with it personally. It's a big part of my journey too, and I'd love to explore what your story has been. So tell us about you, Kanika. Tell us about your story and the parallel track of caregiving that you know.
Oh God, this is about going through. I want to go back 20 or maybe 30 odd years back
Okay.
and say, we are. I when my family moved from a small town called Yamnanagar to Delhi.
Mm-hmm.
Typical migrant people at that era of like we're looking for better opportunities, leaving the comfort of a joint family structure. I was possibly 1 year old, and my
Mm-hmm.
parents came down to Delhi to build a life, and the
Mm-hmm.
support system and the support structure became that unit of four people who were there in a household, the nuclear family structure.
Mm-hmm.
Brought up in a typical middle class family, good schools, good education, go ahead and make a mark on the world, uh,
Yeah.
pick up possibly a job and just go ahead and do whatever you have to do and live your dreams to, uh,
Mm.
in the guardrails of being a middle class. So I think
Within the value system.
within the value system.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so we started off as a typical middle class family, education, etc. Got down doing well, went to the IITs, went to School of Planning and Architecture, did bunch of different things. Me and my brother landed up building global careers, and everything is going fantastically well. You're in the Silicon Valley, you're in New York, you're doing things that you would want to do and aspirationally and really pushing things.
Slow down.
Okay.
Tell us how you got to Silicon Valley and New York, and tell us a little more about your education. And
Sure. So I was good at art, as you can see with a
okay.
lot of the art behind me.
Mm-hmm.
Got into so class 7, 8 onwards was this idea of becoming an architect. So entrance exams, got into School of Planning and Architecture, practiced architecture for a bit to understand there is a bigger world of management out there.
Mm-hmm.
Got into IIT for the management school, from there, got hired by McKinsey and
Mm.
Company. McKinsey and Company then took me to New York. And
Mm.
from New York, I went to San Francisco, switched jobs, went to a company called Levi's. So
We
I
don't
mean,
know Levi's. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think it's so funny you say that. It's like I remember this was my pinch me moments, like two pinch me moments, but Levi's specifically, it's like as a child growing up, buying a 3,000 rupees jeans in a middle class family was like a big deal, and you would buy
Oh
one
my
in like
God.
5 years and hold on to it and treasure it to a large
Yeah.
extent. To a person
Yeah.
sitting with the CEO of Levi's and saying, well, your strategy needs to be XYZ. And it
Oh.
was like, it was a great moment to sit down in those rooms and be able to drive things at that scale, right?
Mm.
So that's what I'm saying, the dichotomy of life, or the joy of life or the opportunities life created for you.
Mm.
And you just were carrying along in such a beautiful way. My parents would travel to States for the first time with on a holiday with us, traveling all over the States, and bringing those family times together and everything that you would expect or want to do with for your parents in that era.
Mm.
You get them to
Yeah.
travel, you get good great gifts, you want to spend time. We were
Yeah.
also the kind of family that, unlike lots of my friends, who used to talk to their parents once a week. I remember coming back home and sitting with them, and I remembered, since they were empty nesters at this point in time, how talking to me and my brother was the biggest part of their life. So they
Yeah.
would take their bed tea, they would sit in the other room in the study, and they would have a call. And if my brother or me would say, I don't have time, I'll talk to you later.
Mm.
And then they will have
Mm.
a half an hour conversation about the tonality of the voice and what happened, etc. It's like, oh, they must be busy, what must be going on. So it is this
Yeah.
realization that got me more empathetic to, or realize the importance. And I actually used to talk to them twice a day, even if it's a hello, how are you kind of a short conversation.
Mm. Mm.
But the reason I'm sharing this is this just to give you a little bit picture of the kind of household and the kind of family we were in, and the kind of emotional connects that we have. And to me, that's very middle class. That's because the family value system, that this is what your core is, this is what your anchor is. That's where it came from. And it was important. Family was possibly the most important thing in life. Careers will
Which
happen,
years
but
was
that
this? Which
anchors.
years are you talking about, Kanika?
So I'm talking, this is 2002, 3, 4, 2003,
Mm-hmm.
4.
Mm.
Uh, I went to States in 5, maybe 6, 7, 6, 7. So
Sure,
in that
sure.
era. Yeah.
Mm.
So
A
yeah,
good 20 years ago.
good 20 years ago. Good
Yeah.
20 years ago. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And then,
So you're in the valley, and how do you not do a startup? So you have to do a startup. And
it's
then the whole,
mandatory.
it's mandatory.
Okay.
And how do you not walk the sandhill road and raise some
Yeah.
money and do the
Yeah.
works? And as a
Yeah.
result of it, made introductions into the PayPal mafia group, the
Oh.
in that segment. It was so funny that I was invited to a party where you've got Maroon 5 like 10 feet away from you and playing, and those kind of things, and that world just opened up. And I also was in New York with McKinsey, so you get down to meeting the top echelon of the society and the aspiration set of people that you would say, right? So you were living the life to a large extent. um and then my mom started falling ill. So whereas on one side you had these aspirations and, oh, I'm going to be in America, I'm going to build a life here. I'd already got my green card by then.
Mm.
I was in the process of, you were, I was dating people different, because this was also the age when you're likely to get married, and you're trying to, and the debates in my
Yeah.
household used to be, तुम्हारे को वो लड़का नहीं पसंद आया, हमने भेजी है वो फोटोग्राफ, तुम पता नहीं क्या सोचती हो अपने बारे में। क्या
Yeah.
मतलब
Yeah.
है, नहीं
Very
करती जाती
familiar.
हरे को।
That's
मम्मी
somehow
वाइब
familiar.
मैच नहीं हो रहा है, मैं समझ में नहीं आ रहा है। इट डजंट फील लाइक, कि फील लाइक इट क्या होता है, हमें नहीं पता। सो That
शादी
was
कर लो,
the,
उसके बाद फील आ जाएगी.
हाँ, उसके बाद फील आ जाएगी.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I get
all this
it.
is happening, and you're saying नहीं आज मेरे पास मीटिंग, आज मेरे पास टाइम नहीं है
Mm,
मिलने का, कल
mm,
मिलूंगी. So all this is happening, and you are obviously looking to settle down in the Indian world, and then you're also trying to build a career. And
yeah.
luckily, my brother was also there in Bay Area, so he's trying to build his life, and
Mm,
everything is working beautifully well. Till one day I get a call from my dad, and he's like, "Mom has." Actually, no. It actually started. I was supposed to come back to India for the Christmas, the mandatory annual Christmas vacations. And
yeah.
my dad said, don't come. Now, this
Oh.
is rare that a father
Mm,
says in mandatory Christmas vacations, I'm stopped from coming. So I had booked the tickets and never ever in my life. So first I fought, etc. But he was so insistent, don't come, to realize much later on that there was a surgery my mom was going through during that period,
mm,
which my dad didn't want me and my brother to get involved in or be aware of, because it
mhm,
would just cause some kind of well, we would have just packed our bags and landed up in India if we were those
mm,
people. And my brother was looking for a job at that point in time. And if
mm,
I came to India and he was in that OPT visa period, etc., so if I came back and he came back, then he would have not had an entry back in the States. So he kind of,
mm,
whatever his mindset, took a decision that we should not
mm,
come and force us not to come. So we didn't come. But to me, even today, when I look back, it is that surgery which slowly and slowly, slowly and slowly led to a deterioration in my mom's health.
mhm.
That's the stemming point for it. Um, but yeah, I mean, you believe that, oh, surgery happened, everything is well, she came out okay, etc., etc., things going on. And I'll tell you the reason I'm also telling this story, because what I also realized as patients, a lot of times parents don't tell the truth to their kids because their kids will go through pain.
Yeah,
And in order to, that whole protection of the parent to the child is
yeah,
just so high that you often don't even get to know what's
yeah,
going on with the patient.
yeah,
And that becomes even harder if you're a caregiver, and most of us will land up to be caregivers to, a lot of us will land up to be to parents, because that's where it starts, and then obviously other members of the family or whosoever else is close to you. But sometimes the patients don't even tell you what's going on, honestly,
that is true.
and it becomes hard. It becomes very
That is
hard.
true.
That you're playing the guessing game. Ab kya hua?
You know, because we agreed that this is going to be an exchange,
Yes.
I'm going to tell you how I see myself in that story.
Hmm.
There was a time when I was very angry with my mom. My dad had a terminal illness. I was very young when they were trying to figure out what was causing the symptoms that were very foxing.
Hmm.
My dad was a pilot in the Air Force, and he had some strange symptoms, and we weren't able to figure out what that was all about. And he was going through his tests, and it went through, is it spondylitis? Why is he having his blackouts? Blah blah. And I was in college at the time, and even when there was a diagnosis, which took a very long time, a neurologist told my mom. Of course, my mom was in denial herself, and I have no idea what my dad thought about this, but they didn't tell us. And I was so angry for so many years that, you know, it's not that I don't understand the need to, I don't see the gift in this, right? There is a gift that you go do your thing, you live your life, and I want to keep you away from this to the extent that I can. And my mom tried to do that, and I'm grateful for that. But at the same time, I'm also a little angry. And I did tell her, I said, you had no business to do.
No, I so
Uh,
agree. I so agree that it's I think you're getting angry is legitimate because to me, at that moment, I remember that moment, I suddenly felt distant.
yeah,
I felt that I'm not important,
yeah,
although they were protecting. And it was, I mean, it's taken me tons of years and tons of washing away things with spirituality and things to say,
yeah,
yeah, it's okay. Every soul has their own journey, etc., etc.
yeah, yeah.
But it's hard at that point in time.
It is. It is. I've had to repeatedly tell myself they were doing the best that they can.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and they didn't know any better, so it's okay. Um, I don't know what I would do in that place, right? So sometimes I say that to myself, like, I don't want to be in that place, but if I was in that place, I don't know what I would do. So,
It's so I love it that you bring in what I would do in that place because there are two other instances which I have thought very deeply about what I would do in that place.
mm,
So my mother was in the hospital and
mm,
she always used to say throughout her life is if I become dependent on someone, I don't want to live.
yeah,
I think so. I remember one day in the hospital when I am taking care of her, the nurse is not there. She wanted to go to the
mm,
restroom and I kind of helped
mm,
her get up. And when
mm,
she got out of the restroom, she
mm,
just hugged me and she's, I'm becoming dependent on you.
yeah,
And that moment onwards, the deterioration started. And it was a realization for me in my head as it's living for the care for the patient also, it's a mind game.
yeah,
The strength of the mind, the stronger you are, the desire to live you have, you will be able to fight a lot of things. And a lot of the job of us as a caregiver is keep that spark alive. The
mm,
doctors are taking care of the medicine, everybody is taking care of a lot of other things, but if you as a caregiver can just give them hope and enough of a spark to alive and play with them so that the mind keeps on wanting that. But
that's
that
right.
statement of her saying, I don't want to be dependent on anyone, and I related to myself, what if I land up in that situation of not
Mm,
of being having to be dependent on someone, what will I do?
mm,
What will my mindset be? You know?
mm,
Uh,
mm,
and my second story was again related to dad because my dad was in the hospital for almost 2 years in and out. And
mhm,
I know we're just cutting through a lot of the stories and all, but the um, and it was a painful journey. They were um, needles all over the body. He was on different kind of machines, etc. And I sit with myself, and now I tell all my friends if I land up in a situation that I have these 2,000 needles on me, don't keep me alive. It is a
mm,
very hard journey to be living on machines, to be surviving on machines to a large extent. But we did because for us that was the right thing to do. We kept on pushing, 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 pushing because it was very important for us. But for the patient, how important was it? Isn't that patient going through so much of pain? Because my dad was not responding in the last moments. It was just the needles which are going in and going out. And why are we doing this? The story is I mean, it's the decisions which at that point in time happen are very, sometimes they just happen.
mm.
You're not making those
Kanika, would you be
choices.
comfortable sharing a little more information in the sense of what was your mom's condition or what was your dad's condition and what is it that led? If you are comfortable, then it would be very useful.
Sure. So my mother was diagnosed with lupus.
Mm,
Um, However, lupus is such a rare disease and it's such an orphan
mm,
disease that the diagnosis is not there. So for about 2 years, 3 years
yeah.
before that, we were really thinking that it was some kind of arthritis.
Mm,
And this was in her 50s. So she passed away when she was 56.
mm,
Um, and And I mean, the only thing symptoms she was, again, the story of she never sharing that she's got a pain in her elbow or pain in her fingers, and we were away, we were not there. So we didn't even see her every day. But I remember that she will just wear a tennis bracelet here, and that tennis cushion thing that you get, right? And she would just wear it. And I was like, आप फोन पे बात कर रहे हो, वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंस अगर हो रही है, उस समय जूम वगैरह नहीं होता था, वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंस फिर भी कभी कभार कर लेते थे आप, तो आप
Mm.
क्यों पहन के हो? नहीं, बस ऐसे ही। तो हमें तो
Mm.
पता ही नहीं चला बहुत साल तक, till the time
Mm.
she met some doctor who's also a relative, and then that doc called me and he said, this is what it is, call me back. And I was still in States. So that's how the diagnosis was. And then we read up about it, and we are not so educated about it. And then uh, you people, I mean, since we were doing okay in life, so like we want to do the best treatment, and we got to all sorts of doctors all over the world. We did everything that we could, and we looked at the
Mm.
treatments, and we were like a pain in the with the doctors. It's like, आप ये क्यों कर रहे हैं, आप ऐसा क्यों नहीं कर रहे हैं, वैसा क्यों नहीं कर रहे हैं? And also there is this action oriented left brain which is working, which is trying to figure out all possible permutations, combinations, solutions, and all, which is in a problem solving mode,
Mm.
to a point of saying there is this whole journey that the patient is going through. Just relax. It's to accept that this will lead to something which you're not wanting to accept.
Mm.
So yeah, so that was my mother's thing. So she had lupus. I mean, she would come to States, not say anything. So you had to observe inflammation हो रहा है, हमें पता नहीं चलता था क्या हो रहा है.
Mm.
बट अमेरिका के साथ एक फायदा हमारे साथ ये हो गया कि देवर दीज सेल्फ ग्रुप्स, कम्युनिटीज ऑफ अदर
Mm.
लूपस पेशेंट्स. इंडिया में तो कुछ था ही नहीं उस समय.
Mm.
So we would have some conversation. So there a little bit of conversation she would do with someone कि मुझे ऐसा
Mm.
होता है, अच्छा आपको भी ऐसा होता है क्या? So there
Mm.
that companionship in the community she found. But a lot of our effort was going into finding those people, identifying those people. We would do all sorts of alternative healings also. So from the
Mm.
Mexican varieties to the Indian varieties to any of
Mhm.
those people who would come from
Mm.
Boulder, Colorado, and everything, we would do all sorts of things to happen. And then we wanted to keep her happy, so we would take her on. आज डिज्नीलैंड चलेंगे, आज यहाँ चलेंगे, वहाँ चलेंगे.
Mm.
But I remember in that era, the life was weekend to weekend, or weekdays were all about अपना काम खत्म करो, and then let's see what do we do with mom today. Like, do we take her out?
Yeah.
Do we do this? Do we do
Yeah.
that? Because you want to create. So all the dating and
How
meeting
old
boys
were
was
you,
out of the way.
Kanika, at the time?
I would be 28, 29 uh, per se. So we went through all of that. And then she came back to India. I remember I was back in India for Holi to take her back on another trip. And then I met her at the airport, and she's like, this time it's very hard waiting for you. And in that trip, within a week, 10 days of meeting her, she passed away. And this was surprising, because this was surprising. This was hard. This was unacceptable, because physically she was showing no symptoms. She was not in the hospital also.
Mm.
But this was just, and you were still scrambling to get the right doctors, etc. Because again, this has no treatment. This was one
Mm.
of those conditions, and you would just see. The impact of this then really landed up to be that my brother, who was not around, he was still in States, and
Mm.
he flew down.
Mhm.
He had met her about a year before. I used to keep traveling, but he had met
Yeah.
her about a year before that, and that caused
Mm.
a trauma in him to go ahead and say that I would not let anything like this happen to my father.
Sure.
So that he just took that as a very strong thing. Uh, This family is now three people, me and my brother and my father. I stay here, stay as long as I can. My brother stays whatever he can. Go back to States, and I again remember one day that it's me, my brother, and my father sitting on having a phone call. My brother was in LA, I was in San Francisco. My father was in Delhi, and we were having a phone call, conference call. And I kept the phone down, and I said, three of us in the family living in three different towns of the country, of the world. What are we doing? We are building careers. It just didn't make sense to me. So it was I think 8 o'clock in the morning, we were having the call. 10 o'clock, I went to work, and I was like, I have to go to India. And I was at Levi's, and that's how the transition for me happened. What does this mean for my story? A career, as I just said, where you are on that track, you just suddenly say, not happening, not working out, coming back to India, because my father was alone at home for days together. He would not switch on lights of the house. He would not take any help from any maid or anyone to come in. And it just became hard. He would not will come to US. Extended family, I mean, it's nice to we believe, but at the end of it, it's your responsibility. Nobody will really go ahead. And I just couldn't let my father to be in that situation. And hence the conversation really get back to is when I say, when I'm 70, will I regret not being there?
Are you the elder sister?
Yes.
Okay, elder sister talking to elder sister.
Please tell me your story. I want to know more.
Oh
You
my
like just in
God.
the elder
Yeah,
sister.
this is going to be an interesting, reflective, literally reflective conversation.
Huh.
Pun intended. Yeah, I see a lot of my story in that. Um, my dad's condition is called multiple system atrophy, no cure, terminal illness. I was in my 20s. Um, Younger brother, um, living in three different cities, and saying, okay, what what is really meaningful in life, and what do I want from this life? Yeah. Of course, at that point in time, it felt when I'm 70 and I look back, I don't want to have this regret. This is not to say that today, when I look back, I'm not yet 70, but I'm almost there.
You
If I
far
look back,
away.
if I look back, you know, they're just choices, right? One has to make
They're just
some
choices.
choice. Could my life have been something else? Of course, it could have been something else. You want it all, but uh, but we figure out. So I just want to say only this much that I hear you, I feel you, and I want to know more. And so please go on.
God. I want to hear from you also a little bit as to the choices, because at that point in time, I'm giving you the mindset I had then to
Yeah.
say, will I regret? Today, after tons of years, I'm not
Mm.
70. I'm also getting there, still time. But I went
We'll get
back
there.
when
We'll get
we'll
there.
get there.
Yeah.
But there's a life that you were trying to build there. I went back, and there were a few friends, who I spoke to, and they said, don't go. It's a
Yeah.
bad decision. And
Yeah.
today, when I go and meet them, and people who stayed on that track, and when I look
Yeah.
at their life, and when I look at my
Yeah.
life, it's world apart.
That is true.
And you can go ahead and say, if I stayed on that track, I would be on that kind of a life or something else of it. So you have some benchmark and all, and that gets you into a more reflective mode of saying, was that choice
Yeah.
a correct one or not? And that's another form of regret or no regret, whatever it may be,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But I am today a product of a choice I made at that
That
point
is
in
true.
time, and that's what my life is. My mother is long gone. My father is long gone. Uh, my environment is different. The people, the extended relatives, etc., may be the same, but it's me who is living that life. It's
Yeah.
me who lived that life then. It's me who's living that life today. And it's not for the accolades or everything at that point in time when you are there in that journey, when we were exchanging notes, there was one question which was asked is, how would you, in one word, how do you explain your caregiving experience? I thought about it and I was like, it's a blur. That
Yeah.
period in time is such a blur. Like, but things
Yeah.
were happening and you were doing and you were just doing and things and taking
Yeah.
decisions what made sense. And maybe they stem from the value system you come from.
Yeah.
And it's a very natural decision. My only learning is don't beat yourself up for any of the decisions that you took. You took the best decision you could in the given circumstances, and whatever has come out of it, it's the most beautiful thing
Yeah.
that could have.
And making the most of what, with the best of wisdom that you have, is what many, many caregivers do. You and I did,
Hmm.
and many others do. And I just think that we have a world and a system which seems to impose a certain hierarchy and a certain value, that this is success, this is better, you would rather do this than that. And our endeavor is to highlight the stories of caregivers in their wholesomeness, to say everything is fine, it doesn't matter. Sometimes you get something and sometimes you get something else, but this is also a wealth worth having, right? The luxury to be able to say, listen, I don't want to chase the Silicon Valley dream, but I want to chase my middle class value dream. Oh my God, that sounds nice. And that's equally valuable, is fine.
Yes. And I think thank you for putting it this way. It's like I I have kind of understood two things is for some reason the society still looks at the success, the metric of success is power and money.
That's right.
But it's not true. That is
Yeah.
that is what gets celebrated in the media world. But what really is actually a metric of success is connections you've made, health, possibly. I call my metric of success today is ownership of my own time. So each one of us will have to find that metric of success. And somewhere caregiving has given me the opportunity to reflect and redefine myself in a lot of different ways.
Mm.
While I was caring for, so my father, when I came back to India, it was fantastic. I decided to move back. I've settled him everything. After 1 year, I decided to go back to States. And when I
Mhm.
went back to States, my father started falling ill. So I again packed my bags and came back to India. My dad at this time was diagnosed with liver cirrhosis. He did not have a drop of alcohol all his life. He had fatty
Mm.
liver. And then we started this next journey of
Mm.
in and out of hospitals for about 2.5 years. Um, and yeah, and then after 2.5 years, he passed away. And he passed away in a very, the way that happened is I had my grandmom, after my mother, I became very close to my grandmom. So,
This is
um,
Nani or Dadi?
Nani. So
Nani.
Nani, I lost her on November 10th, 2014. She was driving to see my dad, and on the way she had a heart attack. We lost her. She was old in her 80s. My granddad was dependent on her. He couldn't really bear the loss of his wife. So a month later, he passed away.
Mm.
And then a month later, my dad passed away.
Wow.
So there were three of these. And each time this thing is happening, and I would hold my face like this, and I was like, okay, now what? What to do?
Wow.
What to do? And from a professional standpoint, this was the time I was heading to be a country director for the company that I was working for at that point. And I had not gone to work in 6 months. I was doing the work from home in that era. 2015, I was doing work from hospital, whatever I could. Now, you don't show up at
WFH,
office.
all the same.
Yes. Great observation.
Sorry. Just
No,
cheeky
it's
me. Yeah.
so I would like once in 2 weeks, 1 week land up in hospital. I think my company was fantastic to give me that time off, so to say, and all that stuff. But hey, they also have a business to run. So now they said, okay, now would you want to come back into job? And these are the targets. And they gave me like massive revenue targets,
Mhm.
this, the whole. And I was in no space to even process
Yeah.
those targets. So I got to a point of saying, thank you so much. Obviously,
Mhm.
the country head position was gone by then because a person who doesn't show up for work for 6 months, 8 months, who will give that person a position, right? I lost my think of even asking.
Yeah.
This entire journey is that's how it kind of happened. So that was the time of moving out of the corporate world. I spent a year afterwards just there's this place in my house. I would just go sit on that corner on the couch and look out of the window. Pretty much did that for one whole year because I just couldn't figure what to do. My brain is not working. And
Sure.
very hard because you don't realize that like the world is moving, and you've just come to a
Yeah.
standstill. Today, that piece, so that happened 2015, 16. We're talking 25, we're still talking 20 years, 10 years behind,
And
right?
yes.
10 years. I think if a caregiver is going through that, it's okay. It all
Yeah.
gets okay. It's all
Yeah.
gets so don't beat yourself up. Don't rush into things.
Yeah.
There is no rush. Remove that
Yeah.
pressure of time.
Yeah.
It does happen. So after that, I started a startup. I've written books. Like there are multiple things. I'm talking to you. There are a lot of other things which have come up, which do come up. Your life will
Yeah.
go through it, but give yourself that space and time. And if you have to just remove some of the strings that you've attached to yourself, do it. Care for
Yeah.
yourself.
Tell us about your startup.
So after this, I started. So 1 year I did nothing. I used to go to a friend's office. Sometimes she would call me for tea and, we'll just sit in her office and chat. She was working, so she couldn't get out of the office. I was
Mhm.
very So I could go. So I would go and sit, and then we started that let's do a not for profit, and we'll go to villages and we'll set up education centers.
Okay.
A very light touch, but something which was more from a heart kind of a place. So I started there. We started going to villages. We adopted two villages in UP and started doing this borrowed steel laptops, etc. Go to the panchayat house, set up the laptop center, and not a single villager will show up.
Hmm.
So the learning was, did it twice, did it thrice, and the learning came down to is like people don't come for education, and sometimes we would take puppeteers. People come for entertainment.
Oh my God. Wow.
It's like, okay, that's fascinating. So my startup really became setting up cinema halls in tier two, tier three India.
Ooh, love it.
So you set up 20-seater, sorry, 50-seater, 80-seater screens, low cost
Mm.
model for tier two, tier three India. And I set up the first cinema hall in Shopian, Pulwama. I set up the first cinema hall in Tawang, set up 25 screens all over the country. Here, my architectural background of reducing the cost economics of it. So, typical cinema hall will be built for 6 crores. We built it for like 20 lakhs, etc.
Ooh.
That entire journey. Great fun. But yeah, something else came out. Who knew?
You know, Kamla Bhasin would be so proud of you.
Huh?
You know who Kamala Bhasin is, right?
Oh.
Mhm. She's one of my favorite feminists.
Okay.
She's an incredible woman. Unfortunately, she's no more, but she's left a legacy.
Hmm.
And she did a lot of work in Rajasthan hinterland on gender equity. And she would say that if you went to a village and you went to say that, talk about feminism or gender equity or girl child education or whatever else, um, it doesn't work like that. You don't talk education. You go and listen to people, and they will come up with the most amazing things. And in one of the stories, she said that when we listened to people, they told us, can you build a cinema hall in our village? Because the cinema halls were so far away, that a large number of young boys would travel to cinema halls in cities and have accidents because they were very bad roads.
Hmm.
And as mothers, the women were more concerned about the safety and well being of the young boys.
Hmm.
And they said, we don't want no education.
Hmm.
We want local cinema halls so that our young boys can see the films that they want to see and not have the accidents that they have
Hmm.
when they travel on the broken roads. So you can't fix the roads. Just give us.
How fascinating. How
And
fascinating.
she says, the social development sector
Yeah.
of equity and whatever else is about building communities more than your interventions. So typically, corporate consultants, no reference to McKinsey's,
Not at all.
would come in and say things like, this is the intervention and this is the design and this is the strategy and this is what you need to do. But the everyday reality of people is so different and it is something else altogether. So,
Absolutely. And I think it's such a beautiful story that you're sharing because, uh, again, cinemas for me came ground up. It was not the intent to really come up
hmm,
with this. My next project, which I'm doing currently, is with the Manipur women. I landed up going to the Methi and the cookie camps. And it was so
hmm,
fascinating. The chief secretary and the administration there had just one point of view. They said, let's get them to make some money and get busy so
hmm,
that their mind is occupied and
yeah,
we take time to rehabilitate. So we did two things. One, we started doing sports.
nice.
Second thing, which was very interesting, was most of the people think that whenever such things are happening, is you give food and you give medicines and you
Yeah.
clothes. In Manipur, we gave guitars.
Oh, mama, love it.
And the third thing which we landed up doing was I was there in one of the communities and women. I mean, like that's what you said about women. Women have this incredible power. So women were crocheting. All that I had to do is I gave them change the color scheme or whatever they were making, change the shapes of it a little bit, gave them some photographs as like isko aisa bana do. It started with three women. Now there are 100 women who are crocheting and we're picking their products and we're selling it all over the country.
Kanika, just to tell you a little bit about me,
See,
do you know that I'm a crocheteer?
I had no idea. Now you're a part of this now.
And I'll be happy to tell you that like It's my grandmother's legacy. And of course, my mom used to crochet as well, but I definitely think that I do it as a way of honoring uh, my grandmother, who I think, just like your nani was, my dadi was. I was very, very close to her, and among the many things that she gifted me, uh, other than the spirit and the never die, um, the ferocious independence and whatever else, is the gift of crochet. In my lighter moments, I also say that not only does it help me build some things, it also helps me just poke needles into yarn because and channel my energies more creatively. But I
Okay.
would love to engage with the women who are crocheting, because a lot of people have asked me that, you just do the crocheting yourself, but what about engaging a larger number of women? It has been on my agenda, and maybe you are going to be the medium.
I am definitely going to be the medium for this one. So after this call, there's another call coming your way.
We have so many things to talk about. I would also like to talk to you about the cinema halls that you ended up setting up, because I do think that there is incredible power in storytelling, and that is the reason that we are having this conversation. The premise of Conversations with Gentle Warriors is for us to see caregivers beyond stories of sacrifice, valor, and victory, right? Very often in our mythology or the kind of social discourse that we have, we talk about caregivers like Shravan Kumar or Savitri, or people who have sacrificed themselves. And you spoke briefly about that you seem to get lost. Or my story is that of a blur, because I was not there, and it was more about giving, etc. But the person is there, and this is our endeavor to shine the light on you, Kanika, a gentle warrior, and her full story. Um, and of course, see your caregiving journey for what it is. A part of it is, your mother's lupus, which didn't have a cure. Um,
I hear you.
a part of it is the unexplained liver cirrhosis of a dad who never really consumed alcohol but had liver cirrhosis. I mean, these things happen. They're happening as we speak. They impact not just people, but they impact families and so many decisions, and country managers, and Levi's directors and McKinsey consultants.
I think I'll just add to it. It's what this journey has also taught me is this ability of losing these titles.
Mm,
um, and uh, and losing a pressure of time, because if I think
yeah,
about it from the way that we grew up in saying life was all project management, at this age you have to do a bunch of things, but when a
yeah,
curveball comes your way, and I've had my mom 2005, 2009, my dad was 2014, so every 5 year, even till today, I feel like there's a curveball coming my way.
yeah,
So you have to the confidence that the caregiving gives you, it's like हमने वो कर लिया है, हम आगे भी कर लेंगे.
totally.
मतलब वहां पर तो दिल भी था, दिमाग भी था, पैसा भी था. Caregiving requires a lot of money also,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
none
yeah,
of which all of us shy away. Like these days, medical expenses are through the roof, even if you've got
yeah,
insurance and your earning
yeah,
capacity is going down during
yeah.
that period. अगर हमने वो तीनों चीजें खड़े होके
Mm.
हैंडल कर ली है, आगे भी करेंगे, होएगा. क्यों नहीं होएगा?
So just kind of, because I promised you that I will reflect my own story as well. I
Yes.
usually don't in this, but since that is our different agreement, I will tell you that in 2015 I went for a motorcycle ride, because I'm a motorcyclist as well.
Oh,
And
lovely.
I didn't know that for a very long time how much I enjoyed motorcycle riding. And the long story cut very, very short is that I used to ride my dad's scooter when I went to Delhi University.
Yeah.
Um, and I never got to hear growing up that, I couldn't do something. So, it was not a big deal. Getting access to dad's scooter was a rite of passage of being an adult. And some years later, motorcycle riding came into my life, and I was like, scooter chala sakte hain, motorcycle bhi chala sakte hain. And then, in 2015, I went for a long ride with 6 other women to Mana Pass, which is a little beyond Badrinath. And we got a Limca record for it, for being the first group of women to do that.
Was Pia Bahadur a part of this?
No, 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 she
Okay.
wasn't a part of this. But I do know of Pia Bahadur, and she's an incredible woman.
Yeah.
And, Kanika, I often say this, that my courage to look at Caregiver Saathi the way that I look at Caregiver Saathi came from that ride and my caregiving experience.
Say more. How did it come from the ride?
So the ride taught me that there are times when you push your body and your mind helps you push the body.
Hmm.
And there are times that you push your mind and your body tells you that it's okay, you can do it.
Hmm.
So taking a 200-kilo motorcycle on the Himalayas is a physical and a mental exercise. But more than the outer terrain, it is your inner terrain that you have to overcome, right? And just like you said, that a caregiving journey tells you that you can walk through darkness and come out of it. It just takes a little time, right? And just like you advised a lot of caregivers, take your time to heal and pause, and it is okay. And you can come on the other side. Navigating my sometimes, ambiguous, unknown, dark caregiving journey and the motorcycle ride, which I didn't know. Next turn, am I going to fall down? How am I going to handle myself? And so on and so forth. Told me that I don't know the full contours of what Caregiver Saathi is going to be.
Hmm.
I don't know the business model. I don't know the way of doing this,
Hmm.
but I know that I must do it.
Hmm. Thank you so much for doing this. I don't know how much you don't know how much it's, yeah, for you to do this. I am
Yeah.
incredibly grateful for you to starting this.
So we are going to have a separate conversation about the many other things that Caregiver Saathi does, and maybe get some ideas about how this can be a sustainable, meaningful thing beyond Bhavna, because it is not meant to be a Bhavna project. It
Hmm.
is meant to be something that has its own feet and wings, and it will be when it'll be. But I'd like for you to reflect on your caregiving journey, Kanika,
Hmm.
and talk about how did you sustain yourself through the dark moments or the difficult days?
I do want to say that it was not, I mean, maybe you call it spirituality, maybe you call it meditation, but I was not a practitioner of any of
Mm-hmm.
these things in that era.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yes, I did have a belief system of the karmic retribution or things on the lines ki this is my karma, my dharma, and you need to go through this. There was no question. They were, I'm sure, pretty much at some point in time, there was this whole idea of a victimization of saying why it is happening to me.
Yeah.
But but the realization came fairly quickly when you saw yourself going through this journey alone.
Mm-hmm.
To say that victimization doesn't help me, doesn't serve me. So
Mm-hmm.
that internal dialogue had to change.
Mm-hmm.
And that internal dialogue switch happened, like either you'll pick up a book and you'll read something, or you'll
Mm-hmm.
have a conversation with someone. Like, it was not just me in the hospital, there were other caregivers in the hospital. Like, you would hear a story, like my dad was still 60, in his late 60s, 68, 69, when he was getting through it. And I met another lady at the hospital whose husband was 40-year-old going through the same
Mm.
challenge. And when you hear her
Yeah.
story, and she's got two kids and everything, and I was like, her pain was bigger than mine. And those are the kind of stories, and you'll sit down, it was strange, you kind of find these bonds
Yeah.
in the hospital itself. So uh having those conversations, I mean, we were day in and day out. And yes, I would, dad is inside, he's sleeping, so I would go out and just sit with somebody else, or sit in the sun, sit in nature. It was okay if two oranges come. Earlier, it usually you will never eat an orange. It's all for the patient. But now sometimes I used to say, एक मैं खा लेती हूँ ना, कोई बात नहीं, मुझे भी तो खड़ा होना है ना, अगर मैं खड़ी नहीं होंगी तो मैं उनका कैसे ख्याल रखूंगी. So that guilt had to go away.
Nice.
So it was because my happiness rubbed off on my father. I was
Yeah.
able to tell him, अच्छा अब निकलो ना, यहाँ कमरे में बहुत देर हो गई है, चलो आपको
Mm.
व्हील चेयर पे बिठा के बाहर लेके जाते हैं.
Right.
अदरवाइज द होल, ओह ओहो, अब व्हील चेयर पे बैठना पड़ेगा, अब मैं व्हील चेयर पे बाउंड हो गया. सो यू हैव टू चेंज दैट narrative. And part of it, that narrative had to come from inside you. And the inside you, as you just mentioned, it is the inner journey.
Yeah.
In this caregiving journey, you have tons and tons of time for that inner reflection.
That is true.
And expecting that an external source will be able to give you that positive narrative is not happening. People will come, 80% of the conversation will be on how the patient is doing, 10% is about their life, or and as to what's happening in their world, and maybe 0.5% or 1% is how are you doing.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I also saw a lot of people coming in, and they were going through, if there is something, they were resolving their, so to say, karmic issues or deaths and all, whatever maybe, because they want to release that aspect in the conversation with the person who's the patient, right? So they are in their head, they're living their journey. It's no longer about the patient. मैं आपको 20 साल पहले वहां मिला था, लेकिन मैंने ऐसे बात करी थी. Some people just want to release that bit also,
Yeah.
right? So the other learning was, let it be. Let people, sometimes, I could have been the person stopping people from doing this, but let that flow. It's not my
Yeah.
job to stop it, as long as there's something which is hurting the patient too much or hurting me way too much. उस चीज को रोको, नहीं तो चलने दो. You are not the control person. You cannot control everything. That realization
Yeah.
कि आपका कंट्रोल नहीं है, आप सब चीजें नहीं बदल सकते हो. आप अपनी
Yeah.
प्रेजेंस को पॉजिटिव रखो, अपने लिए भी और सामने वाले के लिए भी, क्योंकि जो होना है वो डॉक्टर कर रहे हैं. पता करो डॉक्टरों के साथ, बातें करो, पर उनका ट्रीटमेंट उनका है. और पॉजिटिविटी रखो जितना भी कर सकते हो. मुश्किल होता है, बहुत ज्यादा मुश्किल होता है, और आप विक्टिम नहीं हो.
Mm.
बहुत टाइम लगा इस माइंडसेट को निकलने में, आने में. बहुत चीजें करी, बट कोर चीजें इनर रिफ्लेक्शन थी.
Who were the people who were with you in this journey? Like, who would you call if you were the caregiver? Who were your caregiver saathis?
माय ब्रदर, ही वॉज
Mm.
माई कोर, ही वॉज माई एंकर कोर इन लॉट ऑफ वेज. वो नहीं होता तो दोनों जर्नीज बहुत ज्यादा मुश्किल थी. एंड इट वाज
Mm.
him and me, him and me, him and me, him and me. So that was my core. Then I had a second layer of people who were
Mm.
some relatives, a mommy,
Mm.
friend, someone who I
Mm.
would go ahead and release, and with
Mhm.
whom I had that equation. I could say, आप अपनी बात नहीं करोगे मुझसे, मैं अपनी बात करूंगी. If you're
Mm.
feeling sad, please go and talk to a third person. Don't talk to me.
Mm. Mm.
But your job is to take my shocks. And
Mm.
I actually had that conversation. And these were the people जो कभी किसी भगवान को मिलके आते थे तो आपके लिए प्रसाद लेके आएंगे, कभी कुछ हीलिंग करेंगे, कभी कुछ करेंगे। और मैंने उन लोगों
हम्म
के साथ ये था, जो मेरी सेकंड लेयर थी, आपको जो अच्छा लगता है सब करो,
हम्म
ना मुझसे पूछो कि तुम्हारे को ये करना है ये नहीं करना, मतलब जो आपको मन में आए, जो आपको अच्छा लगे सब करो। आपको किसी से
हम्म
स्कूटी लेके आनी है, कहीं से कुछ लेके आना है, प्लीज गो फॉर इट। The other thing which I
हम्म
landed up doing is, and then there's this extended community which came
हम्म
into play. Extended community या काफी लोगों की एक expectations, तुम हमें बताते नहीं हो क्या हो रहा है।
राइट
Just because I'm sitting there, it's my job to tell, inform everyone as to what. Now you're going through your own journey, you're going through the patient journey. I'm not going to pick up the phone. अच्छा पता है आज क्या हुआ? I'm not gonna do that.
करेक्ट
So that
या
is another task which I kind of gave to my second layer of group. मतलब मैं आपको बता
या
दिया, जो आपसे जो पूछेगा आप पूछ लेना, बता देना, पर इससे ज्यादा
हम्म
होना चाहिए। पीपल्स विजिटेशन एट द हॉस्पिटल, जब जिसको पता, कई बार बहुत ज्यादा होते थे और कई बार ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम वो dwindle हो जाते थे और फिर ज्यादा हो जाते थे।
राइट
So you have to go through that. And sometimes you're in the space of entertaining people, sometimes you're not in the space, but your primary job is to the patient and to yourself. Everything else is peripheral.
that
Understand?
clarity is so important, no?
It is very important. People will call you rude, people will call you names. Get okay with it.
Mm.
It's okay. This
Yeah,
is not a popularity match. This is not a, you will not get the best caregiver award. It really doesn't matter.
I think Caregiver Saathi should give out the start giving out the best caregiver awards.
Yeah.
Certificate.
Certificate. But none of
Yeah,
us are doing it for that certificate, you know it. We do
that's
it
right.
because it's the emotion, it's the being, it's who you are.
For sure.
The extended community, I was saying, I had an incredible experience with my extended community. My dad used
Mm-hmm.
to get blood. He used to get 2 units of blood every day.
Mm.
It was hard. So we could talk to Rotary, we talked to a bunch of places. So in my
Mm.
extended community, then I started sending WhatsApps, blood donation. You won't believe it.
Mm.
We had 80 blood donations.
Wow.
So the blood bank really went ahead and said, boss, आप तो अगले ना आपके नाम का ही हम ब्लड डोनेशन कैंप कर देंगे.
Mm.
Now, how did that happen is be outreach, direct outreach. Don't shy away from outreaching. It
Mm.
was not that I am going ahead and saying, oh, तुम blood देने आओ, तुम blood देने आओ. It was just a simple request. I am in this situation. If you can come, please come. इतने बजे से इतने बजे तक मैं आपसे शायद ना मिल पाऊं.
Mm.
Apologize फॉर दैट, लेकिन यहाँ पर है, इस लोकेशन पे है, अगर आपको जब भी कन्वीनियंट हो आप आके कर लो, डोनेट कर दो. एंड इट फ्लू.
Kanika, that sounds like, be open to ask. The world is willing and waiting actually to help. The limitation is only our ability to ask.
You've put it beautifully. I mean, I think what I learned in this is show your weakness. I was weak
Mm.
lots of times, and just be honest and clear and authentic about it. And the world is also coming and asking all sorts of questions because they don't know what to do. It's not,
Yeah,
they are struggling, they want to help, but they
yeah,
don't know how and what.
that's right. I think one of the skills that as us as caregivers need to learn is be vulnerable, but be specific. So, be vulnerable, but say, listen, I want this, and I don't want that. And I think when I reflect on my journey, or I look at my story, I think to be able to specifically ask, saying like, I want you to do this, and a very specific time bound ask is a lot better, because very often people with the best intentions will come and say, अच्छा कुछ होगा तो बताना, you know हम यहीं पर हैं.
Hmm.
But the caregiver doesn't have the imagination or the awareness or the presence to make a request.
It's so amazing. You said it's the presence and imagination. That's the other
Mm,
thing. I'll give you that specificity. It just so hits home beautifully. I remember calling a Masi of mine. My dad was not eating food for a few days. And I was like, Masi, आप ना ये वाली दाल, ये वाला चावल, ये वाला सब कुछ बना के लेके आना टू अ लेवल ऑफ, आप वो जो अदरक के छोटे छोटे पीस करके उसको नींबू में डाल के लेके आते थे ना, वो जरूर लेके आना. Right? And do it tomorrow, day after, or whatever you can do. Negotiate on a time, whatever works for them and you. But it was that level of specificity. I remember again speaking to another friend of mine. We were trying to set up ICU at home. And I was like, and of all the people, this is the person I could figure out. I need an ICU, talk to this person, this, do it within 24 hours.
yeah,
So those kind of things were really helpful. And the other thing which I do want to say, when you said, no, who are my circle of, my brother, as I said, was my this thing. But all of us forget the support we get from our house helps. My caregiving journey could not have
yeah,
happened if my driver and my maid and my
yeah,
cook, the three of them, were
yeah,
not standing with us, and my insurance agent, these people were not standing with us, and they are family to me today, and they've been
yeah,
family
yeah,
to me for about 20, 30 years. And like, I just had to call my cook and say, अच्छा आज पापा के लिए ये बनाना है, मेरे लिए ये बनाना है. वो टिफिन बन के अपने आप तैयार होके, ड्राइवर would pick up, it would arrive, all of those things were happening. That माइक्रो, एंड उन्होंने छुट्टियां नहीं ली इस पीरियड के अंदर. None of them said,
yeah,
हाँ जी मैं 10 दिन की छुट्टी पे जा रहा हूँ.
yeah,
And they, because they've been living with you, they also know the habits of each person.
yeah,
So the amount of value which comes from the people who is your support staff, oh God, couldn't have happened otherwise.
yeah. And I think offering grace and dignity to the care team and the care staff is so important because the primary caregiver cannot do this alone, must not do this alone. And, there are people who will support for love and there are people who will support for a certain salary, but it's never just the salary, right?
It's never the salary, it's always emotional. So for me, when my father passed away, my driver just came and said कि दीदी पापा ने बोला था कि कांधा मैं दूंगा. So there he was. It was the dignity. It was not about the money. It was not about, it was the, and yes, there he was.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh God. It's so nice to speak about these things and acknowledge these things. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity, Bhavna.
Been an honor. Is there anything else that you would like to say as you reflect back on your journey about, some other things that came your way?
I think there is only one thing, that although as caregivers, you are prioritizing and it's your primary job at that point in time to care for the loved one that you have taken the ownership of. But don't lose yourself. Give, shine some light and don't be guilty of doing anything. And yes, over a period of time, things will be okay. Things will be okay. हमारे स्क्रिप्चर्स में बोला जाता है कि हम इस दुनिया में आते हैं अपने कुछ कर्म भोगने के लिए. तो आपके पास तो अपॉर्चुनिटी है कि जो आपके साथ पेशेंट हैं, अगर वो इस स्टेज में है कि वो रिकवर कर जाते हैं तो बहुत बढ़िया. अगर बाय चांस इस स्टेज में होते हैं कि वो इस दुनिया से चले जाते हैं, आपके पास तो अपॉर्चुनिटी है कि अपने दिल की हर बात करो उनके साथ.
Yeah.
सब चीजें शेयर करो और वो आपके साथ
Mm.
रहेंगे.
Yeah.
और जो भी होगा अच्छा होगा.
Hmm. That is true.
भगवान
पिक्चर
का
हमेशा बाकी है.
हमेशा बाकी रहे.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah, there's one way or the other. Picture हमेशा बाकी है. And as do you have any, I don't want to call them regrets. I've been looking for the word for a while. Do you have any reflections that you would like to share with current caregivers about, I could have also done this, or I wish did it like this?
देखो, my only reflection is at the time that you're sitting down and taking the decision or whatever you're doing at that point in time. Firstly, there's nothing you can be prepared for at that point in time. Whenever it
Right.
hits you all first sudden. And even if you're prepared, it's most of us are doing it for the first time. Even if you're doing it for the second time, third time, you're in a very um, the situations are different.
Yeah.
सो मेरी फिलॉसफी, जो आप उस समय कर रहे हो बहुत बढ़िया कर रहे हो, एज यू सेड, इन द विजडम दैट यू हैड इन द मोमेंट,
Yeah.
the best. The only thing is, after all of this is over, don't sit back and say, I would not like to go back and change anything. I respect that moment the way it was. I respect everything that happened in that moment. And possibly that's what it was meant to be.
So a certain quality of acceptance with grace is what you are saying, Ki. It is what it is, and that is all that matters.
The only thing is, don't and again, I've got an answer for question and answer. Both that is, I don't try to control everything.
Hmm.
But if you, I also believe that if you are trying to control everything, that means there's some part of you which is still not accepting. And once that acceptance come in, that control will automatically loosen up. So you have to go through that journey of control. But नहीं होता, ये आपके कंट्रोल में नहीं है. बहुत सारे पैरामीटर्स यहाँ काम कर रहे हैं.
Yeah. Yeah. This myth of thinking that I am in control and I can control is quite a journey, right?
How the
Of
journey.
letting go and yeah, of learning to let go and accept um, and enjoy it actually.
I mean,
Like my
I
friend, sorry,
carry on. Your friend.
no, I will say, but why don't you finish what you were saying?
Please go ahead. Your friend. Please.
I was about to say, like my friend Galib would say,
What would Ghalib say?
बाजी चाहे अतफाल दुनिया मेरे आगे. It's a
Ah,
yeah, it's a children's playground, this world.
hmm. I was reflecting on the mere existence, the way I came into this world is a chance.
Yeah.
So, what is the thing that I'm controlling? I didn't even, nobody controlled if I came into this world also. It was also a chance.
That's such a feminine outlook because a masculine outlook would be I won against the million other sperms. So
But we didn't know you
so
were going to win before.
so um, on that note, whether it is you won or you got lucky, uh, thank you for your time, Kanika. I have a feeling we can have multiple such conversations.
Yeah,
Um,
so true. Thank you so much.
and I am I didn't get a chance to talk about the lovely paintings behind you, but thank you for your expression through art and everything else that you do.
Thank you.
I would like for you to close this conversation as to how do you feel about it and how would you like to close this conversation today?
Oh God, I thought that was you.
I'll do that too. I will do that too.
I think it felt good to reflect back. on
Okay.
on the journey, and acknowledging
Mm,
some of the things which I had, I think, just assumed that we are closed on those matters. But it
mm,
was great to do that. So thank you so much. But the last word is yours. Over to you.
yeah. I'm always happy to find another kindred soul in a caregiver, in a gentle warrior, and so many points of commonality with you, Kanika. I'm so glad that you found Caregiver Saathi through whichever way that you came to Caregiver Saathi. And to me, I'm glad to have, some opportunity for this reflection. And I'm glad that it is not just between you and me, that this conversation will be available to so many more people. Um, and I'm a little excited about the many other things we will talk about when we meet.
Look forward to that. Look forward to
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So with that, I'm going to bring the conversation with Gentle Warrior to a close, but with a promise that that we will continue to shape this tribe.
And
Thank you.
I promise to join hands. Thank you so much.
All right. Let's keep celebrating the unseen strength of gentle warriors who are all around us and yet are the invisible backbone. Thank you for watching this episode of Conversations with Gentle Warriors. Caregiving may be unseen, but it is a powerful force holding lives together. If you're a caregiver, a carer, or someone who may not have thought of themselves as a caregiver, but you are worried and concerned about someone's well being, know that you are not alone. And if you're listening as an ally, think about how you can help make caregiving more visible, valued, and supported. Do like, subscribe, and share with people who might be able to relate, who might be able to find inspiration and find connection, because care is all around us and caregivers are all around us.